Hi everyone, Martin Bamford here. Before the pandemic, it was pretty normal to suck it up and deal with a lengthy daily commute. Oh, how things change. Commuting is dead, and that's great news for our finances, families, and our happiness. But it does mean a different world to the one we previously knew. Last week, I went to London for the day. It was my first trip into the big smoke since before the onset of the pandemic. And wow, things changed up there. Some context, and then I'll explain why the London exodus is continuing and what it means for our wallets. So I live here on the Surrey-West Sussex border, within spitting distance of central London, about 35 miles away as the crow flies. Of course, actually getting into London from here isn't that easy. This is the southeast of England after all. Even a random day trip into town means a 10-mile drive to the nearest station, and that used to take up to 45 minutes during rush hour, sometimes much longer. And then a train trip from Guildford to Waterloo, 35 minutes to 40 minutes on a good day, followed by a walk, a taxi ride, or a tube journey to a final destination. And that's when it was all going well, when everything was running smoothly. I've had multiple experiences over the years of 3-4 hour long trips home from the capital. But I'm not a commuter, thank God. When I occasionally take a trip into London for either work or pleasure, you can see it in the eyes of regular commuters that they are miserable. They're not enjoying any part of that experience. And it's that feeling of being utterly fed up with public transport, with commuting, that's prompting this next wave in the London exodus. During my day trip last week, when I was mostly in Westminster and Covent Garden, I couldn't quite believe how quiet it all was. There's been this narrative appearing on Twitter recently talking about how London's getting back to business, how it's becoming almost as busy as it was pre-pandemic. That wasn't my personal experience of the place. And I wasn't even there on a Monday or a Friday. I was there on a Wednesday and during term time as well, in decent, albeit quite cold weather. There's this new phrase to discuss what's become a standard working practice in offices, including in London, and I apologise in advance for causing any offence with this one. It's twats. Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. And that's because those who are back in city centre offices are still, largely, working from home on Mondays and Fridays. Most people are not working from home at the moment. The official figures from the ONS in their latest data release show that between the 3rd and the 14th of November 2021, around 2/3, so 67% of working adults in Great Britain reported travelling to work. That's not to say they're all office workers. Lots of jobs involve never setting foot in an office. And it's not to say those 2/3 of workers are working full-time away from the home. Also keep in mind that these stats came out pre-Omicron, and that's no doubt changed lots of attitudes now towards working from home. The reason I wanted to make this video today was to share the findings from a new survey from Total Jobs that found 1.3 million Londoners would rather quit their job than commute to work. The research found that 76% of employees in the capital would be prepared to quit their jobs to avoid the daily commute. Why? Well, COVID safety fears on public transport are a factor, with 60% of London commuters saying it was a major obstacle to their safe return to the office, and 44% saying they would quit because of it. When you're crammed like sardines into a train or tube carriage, it is inevitable that you're sharing germs and other diseases with your fellow commuters. Masks or not, there is no way to do that safely. The research also found that 38% of UK workers would be prepared to quit their jobs because of the length of their commute. 29% cited the cost of travel, and 36% said the daily commute took a toll on their mental health. Pre-pandemic, the average commute time in the UK was 62 minutes a day, with 15% of workers commuting for 102 minutes or more. 23 miles is the average round trip, while 14% of commuters travel over 42 miles a day. Earlier this year, we saw research from Confused.com that found working from home was saving commuters as much as £300 a month. Now, commuters who use trains save the most money, an average of £136 a month on train fares, parking, and other costs. So working from home saves us a lot of money, an awful lot of money, and it's good for our mental health too. Commuting is not fun. We've known about that for a long time. Behavioural scientist and Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman carried out a study in 2006 that found that the morning journey between home and the office was, on average, the least enjoyable activity of the day. The evening trip home was the third worst. That study was based on working women in Texas, but the UK equivalent study carried out at the University of West of England found that each extra minute of commuting time reduces both job and leisure time satisfaction, although not overall life satisfaction, and it increases strain and worsens mental health for workers. If commuting is so bad and the pandemic has proven that we can successfully work from home, why do we keep doing it? The Total Jobs research found that 71% of workers have been told by their employer that they must return to the physical workplace. That's going to be a hard sell for so many who have now tasted the financial, the time, the mental health benefits of scrapping the daily commute. We've got different priorities now, and they don't include sacrificing an hour or even longer every day to share personal space with dead-eyed strangers. If this is you, look beyond that daily time and financial cost of the commute. Think about what it means for you throughout your entire career. For the average commuting Brit, you're going to spend 400 days in total commuting, spending £136,000. That's why this London exodus is continuing. London is probably worse than other parts of the country, other cities around the UK, when it comes to the commuting experience in terms of time and in terms of cost. I've spoken before on this channel about the Great Resignation, a trend that we're seeing in the United States and we're starting to see happening here in the UK too. People are reassessing what matters to them and how they spend their time, because time is finite. It's one thing we're never getting back. Time spent commuting is unlikely to be valued or valuable time. What else could you do with that time if it was freed up? I know that some people will push back against what I've said in this video. There are old school bosses out there who continue to insist that the only way to do work is in person, in an office environment. It's those same old school bosses who believe that working from home isn't really working, and instead it means skiving off, watching TV, taking in deliveries, maybe doing some childcare. I feel for people who work for bosses like that, bosses who believe more in presenteeism than they do in results. It makes me wonder whether those same bosses crave a return to the workplace as either a substitute for their absent social life or a way to impose their managerial dominance on subordinates. There is no logical reason to get people back into the office. Bigger picture though, a continued London exodus is bound to have consequences for the property market. Continuing this pandemic trend we've seen, where people are moving into more rural areas, they're looking for larger indoor and outdoor spaces, including space to be able to work from home. I'm still a believer that advances in self-driving car technology will, within the next 5 or 10 years or so, spell the end for the London property market. After all, if you've got your own personal taxi that can take you places while you sleep or work in the back, why would you choose to live anywhere other than in the most attractive parts of the UK? But short term, this research from Total Jobs should serve as a wake-up call to anyone who has slipped back into old commuting habits without first asking themselves, why am I doing this? It's time to dust off your financial plan, ask yourself the big questions about what you want out of life, and then take decisive action that's in your best interest. What do you make of this new finding that 1.3 million Londoners are prepared to quit over their daily commute? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you found this video interesting, there's one super quick thing you can do right this second to support my channel. Smash the like button. And if you fancy being an even bigger supporter, why not share this video with your social network or with a friend you think would get something out of watching it. Maybe that friend that's still doing the London commute, so press that share button now. Also, please make sure you press the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you for watching this video. Until next time, I'm Martin Bamford, and remember, when it comes to your money, the more you know, the faster it can grow.